Hi everyone, it's Lara. I hope this video finds you all well and happy and healthy wherever you are in the world. Enjoying the last little bit of August as September quickly approaches. I have to admit, I'm going to be kind of glad to see the end of August. It's been really hot, very rainy, very wet. It's a very rainy day today. And I just don't enjoy summertime as much when it's just dreadfully hot and dreadfully wet and you can't get outdoors, too hot to sleep, and even if it really is pouring down rain, it was pouring rain earlier and we had to close all the windows, which makes it super hot and humid in the house. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of cooler weather, I do have to admit. Now, for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a little girl, September 1st was always the start for me of the most wonderful time of the year. So my birthday, September 1st. And when I was a girl, I think that Labor Day was also September 1st. And I think they changed it at some point, maybe in the 1980s, to the first Monday in September. I don't know. But I think here in the US there was a holiday called Labor Day. And I think it used to be September 1st. And so that was kind of, I don't know what. It's not like people had picnics or anything like that, but in my mind, that stuck in my mind that September 1st, then we would start school, and then when I had kids, I was getting my kids ready for back to school, and then we have autumn, and then we go into October and the run up to Halloween, which is my favorite holiday. I love Halloween. And then here in the US we have Thanksgiving. Our family also does some kind of little festivals and things. We do a Michaelmas and we do Martinmas and some other little kind of festivals in September, October, November area. And then we have all of the Yuletide holidays and Christmas, New Year. It's just for me, it's always been a really social and enjoyable, for me it's always been a very social and enjoyable time of the year, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I thought I would just do today a little bit of a catch-up video, kind of talk about what I've been doing over the last week or two. I've had some really fun trades, and I've had some new decks come in, and I'm reading some interesting books. So yeah, I thought I would just kind of talk about all the new fun things I've been doing lately and share them all with you. So if you like a catch-up video, hopefully you will enjoy this one. Oh, so I've got my window open back here because it's so hot in the room. I had to open the door. I have the fan on. I'm sorry if you can hear that fan as a background noise. I cannot turn it off. It's just too hot. And I have to have the window open. It's just like right behind you. And it's such a pretty view. Maybe I'll try and turn you around so you can see real quick. Oh no, I'd have to move the camera. And, but it's raining. And the birds are singing, so off and on we're getting a little bit of like rainfall sound and bird song and traffic, and it's making its own nice little backdrop music, What do they call that? Ambient music for backgrounds and things like that. So, okay, swaps. So I've done some swaps lately, the past month or so. So I try not to do swaps before holidays or my birthday or something like that. So because I don't want to swap for something that also is on my Amazon, my friends and family wish list, that someone may be getting me as a gift and that I don't want to swap for it and ruin the surprise. So I try not to do it, but it just so happened I got the chance to swap for some things that I really wanted that aren't actually on the Amazon wish list, so it worked out really, really well. And I got to trade with some people who I have traded with in the past, and that's fantastic. I love to do that, but also with some new friends that I might trade again with in the future, and so that was, nice too. What should I start with? Okay, so I think I'll start with the Lioness Oracle Tarot, and I'm pretty sure this deck came out in 2016, I want to say. I think it's been out for a couple of years. I love collage decks. It's really my style of artwork. I like it a lot. But frankly, this deck looked like it would be too liony and too rosy. I don't know. So I thought, nah, I'm not really interested. But I've seen it a lot lately. And so when it was available for swap with a lovely person, I thought, why not? I'll give it a try and I'll see what I think. So I got the deck in and I did all my little things that I like to do when I get a deck in. I will take it out. Sometimes when I get a new deck, I'll take it out and I'll set it on a shelf, usually that shelf up there, but I have another one over here. I'll put a nice big crystal on it and just let it sit for a while and let it kind of get used to the vibes of the house. One of the things I've been noticing with decks that I get in swaps is that I don't really kind of have to let it sit there as long. It's already been in someone's house. It's already kind of, I don't know. It's already domesticated. So it's like when you adopt a cat or a dog that's already been litter trained or trained to go outdoors. You don't have to train it yourself. Is that what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe it is. But I've noticed with decks that I get in swap that I will kind of run them over incense a little bit, maybe a candle, and shuffle them a whole bunch. Sometimes I'll put them into order and then shuffle them and play with them, and they seem to be reading really well. It seems to work really well that way. So this deck I got in and did my little Palo Santo thing to smudge it, and I decided to do the spread. What's the name of it? I think it's called the Mother Piece spread, and Veronica Jude showed it on her channel with the Lioness Oracle. And I think it might have been originally from the Mother Piece deck. You make 2 circles, one smaller central circle and then a larger outer circle. And she does show it on her channel using the Lioness Oracle. So I decided to give it a try. It was a great, fantastic reading. If any of you got a chance to see, I think I posted pictures of it on Instagram. If I remember, I'll try to pop a picture in right here of that. I'm not going to do a walkthrough because, or a flip through, because there are tons of those already on the internet. But I just have to tell you how pleasantly surprised I was with this deck. The readings were insightful. In spite of it is a little shiny, you can see. The cardstock's nice. I don't think I can shuffle it, but I rarely riffle shuffle most decks because most of them are just too thick for me to do it. I've had surgery on both my hands, and my thumbs don't work as well as they might have otherwise. And I was really surprised. In fact, I assumed that this deck would read best individually like an oracle. And it wouldn't work well in a gigantic spread. It worked great in the big spread. I was really pleased with it. And after I was done, I was showing Gracie, my daughter Gracie, and she said, "Ooh, can I have a reading?" She didn't want the big long one, so we just did the smaller inner circle. I think it just had 4 or 5 cards in that. And her reading was just shockingly meaningful. The guidebook surprised me that it was surprisingly good. I don't know why I say it surprised me that it was good, because I think that's a bit rude. It just surprised me with how good it was. I just said that. The guidebook is fantastic. It gives extra little insights into the cards that might not otherwise be there, but if you don't like guidebooks, you can definitely just read intuitively from the deck. And I'm really super pleased. That was a fun trade. I was really glad. I'm looking forward to playing with it a bit more, combining it with some other decks, because I really like to do that, seeing what the voices are like when they're kind of combined and when they all play together and see how they get along. I love to do that. So that was a fun trade. So the second deck I'm going to show you is a deck that I've actually been looking for a while. It went out of print, I want to say 2 years ago, and came back into print in a colorized version, which I didn't take to the way I had taken to the black and white version that went out of print. And I looked around for it, and the prices were through the roof, and for the first couple of months after it went out of print. And then after that, the decks were just gone, and very few people were ever even had it for sale, even on the secondary market. And it came up in the swap, and I asked if the person wanted to swap with me, and she did, and we swapped for it. I cannot believe it. It is the Wisdom Keepers Oracle deck in the original black and white. Oh gosh, I can't tell you how happy I am to finally have this. I've been wanting this deck for a while. I specifically wanted it for ancestor work and for work with like family tree, with you know, inherited traumas and different things along those lines. And I've looked at different decks before, and I do use different decks for ancestor work, but I really wanted this as a way for connecting with individual people as people and not so much as archetypes. So like with a specific person, if that makes sense. For me, genealogically, either a known person that I know about who's in my family tree. I have a very, very, very extensive family tree with the genealogical research that's happened for like 30 years. And so, and I've been involved with it, and I know a lot about it. So I have like quite a bit of info there. And I just wanted to kind of be able to work with it in a different way. So here's my goal. That's my goal for these. And when I saw the colorized cards, somehow it removed my ability to connect with the people. So with the black and white deck, and I'm sorry, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm in front of a window. We have no air, we have no light. So this is just the nature of things. I've got all the lamps on, but I just really couldn't connect with them as color images. I didn't want to look at them. I didn't want to make eye contact. I mean, there's a lot of shadow in that, and I know. But as black and white images, I felt like I could really connect with who they are. So I've only had this about a week, I think. I'm really looking forward to see this. She looks like Judi Dench to me. My husband and I spent all of the, I think 90s, most of the 90s and the 2000s watching, what was the show? As Time Goes By. Judi Dench and, who plays opposite her? Darn my memory, I can't remember right now. It'll come to me in a minute. His name's Jeffrey. Anyway, so it's called As Time Goes By. I had them all on video. my husband would order them in special, and we used to watch them together, and we would have like little date nights, and then when I got them on video, we could watch the whole series. I love that series. I'm a big British television fan. Anyway, that's almost the only TV that I watch. I don't watch much TV. Hubby and I like to watch, like, mysteries. I love mysteries. Oh, isn't he? Wow. Look at that. Oh, amazing. So, I was really super happy about being able to actually get that. So I feel really lucky. Both of those decks I feel super lucky about. Okay, so the next one, I actually have another deck that's in transit to me now. I almost waited until that one got in a trade and then did a video with that, but I thought, no, I'm just going to get this over with. Today's a good day to film. I'm going to do that. This other deck that I'm going to talk about right now, I just did not know what I was actually going to get when I came in, or when it came in, and you guys, it was perfect. I didn't know what to expect, because you never know what to expect. And this is a deck I've been looking for a really long time. This deck is usually outrageously expensive, and it is the Intuitive Tarot by Cilla Conway. I just got this yesterday, I think. The box was perfect. It still had the foam packaging in it. The cards were in their paper wrap. The book is in perfect. I just can't believe it. I've also been looking for this for a while now. The box is a really large kind of oversized box. So I am keeping it in this little wrap that I got from the lovely and beautiful Kimberly, who I'm doing another swap with. She actually knitted this for me. She knits these. I don't think she sells them. She just, I think, knits them and gives them away. Look at that. I love the envelope style of this. And she sent it to me, not with this deck, with a different swap, and I wasn't sure what I was going to put in here just yet. And then when this came in, I was like, look, it's perfect. I'll show you which deck it is. Oh, I told you know already. Laurie, really? It is. Yep. And I've been also looking for this for a while. It's out of print. Cilla Conway is currently reprinting. She's in the process of having it reprinted. I think she's maybe re-digitizing the images, I think. And she's going to change the borders. Are these in order? I don't think they are, because I think I was shuffling and playing. And she's going to change the borders, I believe. It's beautiful. You know, for me, they smell like a box of tarot cards. I just can't believe, I mean, this is just like my universe birthday gifts from the universe. I'm very appreciative. I want you to know that. Yeah, it's just great. Oh, and I'm really looking forward to using that deck with. This is where I keep my Devas of Creation by Cilla Conway. This I've had for a while. I did buy this straight from Cilla. And I love this deck. I use it all the time. It goes with all the other decks, but I really just wanted to work with them together. Look at that. Just, it looks beautiful. The colors are actually completely matching in real life, so if they're not showing up as matching. Let's pick another card. That one. That'll work there. I just think the energies are going to play really, really fun off of each other, and I haven't had too much of a chance to play with this yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that really soon. Hopefully later today. Oh, I've got some shopping I have to do today. We'll see. Let's see. Oh, okay. That was in the background. So this did not come in a trade. The Gill Tarot. I've been trying to trade for this for a while. I've been looking for a vintage version. This is not vintage. This is from US Games. And ta-da! I did a deck interview, and this was one of the that was one of the answers, is the 8 of Swords conflict. So it's just stressing again. The book write-up of this, though, is fantastic. Ooh, do I have my book here? Yep. I'll stick it up there. I will just tell you. It's the mass market book. I was kind of hoping, to be honest, they were going to put this girl in the front of the deck, because I just think she's very, very powerful and amazing, and she's got like, it's like Excalibur. And I love seeing a woman with this gigantic sword, and she's just going to take it and she's going to use it. Okay. 8. The 8s, and then she talks about them individually. Where is it? Oh, here we go. So the 8 of Swords, I'm not going to read it all, because you can see it's this whole page and then a tiny little bit on the back. One of the things that she said in here about this was in this case, the perfect shape of the figure 8, there we go, in which a lower circle reflects a higher one, as above, so below, is affected. This prevents the lower, rigid mind from acting as a true mirror for the higher mind, where multifarious and opposing concepts can live together. The fact is that circumstances alter cases. One set of ideas cannot cover everything, and often apparent opposites are true in different contexts. So it's difficult to arrive at a mind truth that is not itself dishonest by virtue of its incompletion and its inflexibility. So if you're a seeker after truth, you cannot afford to block out concepts that do not fit in with your own mindset. Conflict has to be recognized and accepted, not avoided, before opposing ideas can become reconciled and their inner content sought. I love the idea of a higher nature and a lower nature in the eights, inherently in the eights. Not a concept I've thought about before. I've thought a lot about higher nature and lower nature, particularly as it relates, believe it or not, to child rearing, to human development and things like that. And I've talked about anthroposophy and Rudolf Steiner on my videos in the past. One of the aspects of that is just children growing into, right around the time that they turn 9 years old, growing into this whole concept of that we have a higher nature and we have a lower nature. And not that either of those natures are not foreign or wrong, they just serve us in different ways. And so then, you know, when kids move into the teenage years, a lot of times they're doing a lot of experimenting with their lower self, their lower nature. They're not being antithetical to who they really are. They're just being a different kind of part of who they are, and they need to sort of experience what serves them in their natures and what isn't serving them in their natures, and kind of how to be okay with that and own that. I've always felt like it was really important that kids weren't just taught to only work on their good qualities, you know what I mean? And there's like good qualities, bad qualities. A lot of it's in the expression of it. A lot of it's how we use it, not necessarily what it is. And the other thing that I found is when people tend to hit middle age, so like this is getting philosophical, sorry, but when people hit middle age, like around like midlife crisis and things like that, a lot of times they recognize that they have been living in a certain way that isn't all of them. And so then they see this whole aspect of themselves. A lot of times it is lower nature stuff, to be honest, but not always. You know, I'm thinking of in terms of like the trope middle-aged man who, you know, dumps his wife for a younger model and gets a sports car and you know, takes up extreme sports and things like that, where all of a sudden he's like, no, wait, I'm tired of living, you know, up here. I want to live down here. I want to live in different ways. And a lot of times they feel like, well, this lower self, I've never gotten to like dabble in that. I've never gotten to be that. I'm going to like really go into that place because it feels like true for them. Well, because it is true. It's just your lower self. It's not like your higher self is your good self and your lower self is your bad self. And it's not your higher self is your real self and your lower self is your fake self. They're both yourself. And they're both okay for you to kind of, for us to be part of and to embrace and to love about ourselves. I think, you know, I think we just we're not socialized and encultured and stuff like that to embrace that. And so a lot of people do, when they start to realize my lower self's been ignored, then they have like a midlife crisis moment. You know, like with teenagers, they need to dabble a little bit in that lower self, or wallow sometimes too. And so how can we intentionally do that in a way that is healthy for us and that is representative of who we are and that still continues to be like for our own highest good? You know, can lower self stuff still be for our highest good? I think so. Here endeth the lesson. That's the kind of thing I've been working on lately with my decks. Not higher self, lower self specifically, or like, you know, not midlife crisis, higher self, that kind of thing. Just sort of, you know, looking at what, I can't put that down, what of ourself is shadow and light and how that's cool. Okay, next. Okay, so I think next I will talk about the stuff I've been reading. And I've been reading 2 nonfiction books. The first one's called The Magical World of the Anglo-Saxons. That's not showing up. Let's see if there's a... Yep, there we go. Magical World of the Anglo-Saxons by Teflon Penry. I think I've talked about Mrs. Penry before. She has a YouTube channel called that. Her name, Tethluin Penry, if I'm saying it right. I'm probably not. I apologize, Welsh people. She has a channel. She calls herself a solitary pagan witch, and she lives in Wales. And I know I've talked about her on the channel before. She does these little short 5-10 minute long videos where she talks about different topics that she has learned about, or people have asked her about, or she's been inspired about over the years, and she calls them little talks. And it really is like having a little talk over a cup of tea in your neighbor's kitchen who has all this kind of experience and wisdom, not just in having lived her life, but in this, like, this particular religious path that she follows. And it's very applicable to almost any path, particularly I was going to say, because not particularly, she's a witch. She identifies as a witch, which I don't identify as, although I like witchy stuff. You know, I think it's kind of cool and fun, but mostly because she's a solitary practitioner. So kind of the way she approaches her beliefs, how they fit in with other people's beliefs, whether that matters or not, how she deals with that kind of whole thing. Yeah, that whole thing has been very helpful and informative. I really just I like that. So I've been reading that book of hers. There's another, I probably can't find it on here. I've also been reading Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. And that's brilliant. I love mythology anyway, but oh gosh, he can tell a story. I love it. And I am also, at the same time, reading another book by Tethluin Penry called Seeking the Green. The only way to get this one is from her. And she did sign that for me. But the rest of her books are all available on Amazon Kindle for just a couple of dollars. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the one about magic in Anglo-Saxon times. It's super fascinating. I love Anglo-Saxon times. I love history. I've been reading a lot lately about things like magic in culture, spirituality, particularly with women, in older cultures and mythologies, and the way women's spirituality is represented in, you know, all over the world, but more specifically historically in the past, how it's been represented and shown. Things like the laws that governed only men could be doctors, and you could only be a practicing doctor if you were approved by the government, you know, which put a lot of local herbalists and wise women, but, you know, midwives, people who were doing really important work. It kind of not only put them out of business, but put them at odds with the government and you know, possibilities of being imprisoned and all kinds of other things. So that was more recent. That was in the 1900s, at least or the 1800s. Okay, I don't know. My brain's starting to fizzle. I've got a 30-minute limit on my brain. So that's what I've been reading lately. So I've also been taking a couple of courses at the Wild Soul School with Lara Valeda Vesta. And I have taken her course on ritual, which I think might be a free course. That's excellent. The rest of her courses are, you can join her Patreon, and then you get access to all of them, or they're available on the Wild Soul School as donation, kind of, you donate and then you can get access to the courses, and they're wonderful. She's such a lovely, beautiful person, and taking her runes course, and I'm also working through her ancestor course. And I don't have any runes, so what I decided to do was to get a deck. This is the Indy Wild Rune Oracle from Tiffany Sosa. She's the same artist who did, I think it's the Bohemian Wild Tarot, and I think there might be a Lenormand deck as well. This is the only one I have. I wanted this because my son has runes, and I borrowed his to kind of play with a little bit to see if I was going to like them or not. And I was learning runes. I've been doing this for like months now. I've been learning runes from Lara, Valeda, Vesta's Wild Soul School, also from Donna Lee's YouTube channel, Tarot Between Worlds. I think it's called Tarot Between Worlds. And she has a whole series of videos on how to learn runes, and then she gives all these little mnemonic memory devices on how to remember them, which are terrific. But then I found once I got away from that, looking at the runes, I would forget again. I love the cards because, for instance, this one's Fehu, and that's the rune right there at the top that typically means stuff like inherited wealth, specifically like cattle, riches, things like that. And look, and then in the image, she's wearing cattle horns. So that's a great way to kind of jog my memory on that. This one is Hagalaz, okay, which is kind of like a tower card with big change, like a big, in my mind, I think of it like a tarot tower moment. And she's standing there, but she's looking at this crystal in her hand, you know, very much like a tower, so that helps me to remember that. Let's see. This one is Tiwaz, which is tears rune. Tear like from Tuesday. And he only had one arm. And so you see him there. Like, isn't that cool? So I think it's really clever with the rune cards. So I'm having a good time with those as well. And working on Lara's courses. The Ancestor course is very heavy. I do a bit of it and then I take some time, and then I do a bit of it and take some time. Because there were some things that I kind of went, no, I don't want to do this. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to pause and hold on those to kind of see why I'm having that response. So that's the kind of stuff I'm working through. I think I'll just briefly tell you about another little deck that I got. This is I think they call it the little Czech Oracle. It comes in this box. It's from Baba's Studios. And this was a nice outcome of some deck just went on sale at Baba's Studios. I don't remember what it is. And everybody was running to buy it really fast. And I went and took a look at it. I decided not to get it, although it's lovely, and I love all of Baba's Studios decks. It was just one that I felt like I could pass that by. The Fairy Tale deck, it's beautiful, but I felt like I could pass it up this time. But while I was there, I noticed that I had some Baba Studios bucks, Baba bucks, I don't know what they call them, cashback, reward points, loyalty points. And so then I thought, oh heck, well, I got myself the book on the Victorian Romantic, and then I got myself this little oracle deck. It's like it's all in Czech. It's very like a sibilla, only, yeah, I'll tell you about that in a second. So it's a modern artwork. I mean, it was done by someone who's modern, but it's a really fun style of art. And some of it's really sassy. There's a lot of nudity. Okay, I won't show you that one. But there's just some kind of sassy images. Oh, so, and then there's the other couple. Did you see them before? And now they're older. It's kind of cute. It's a fun little oracle. And what I decided to do, because it's not in English, and there were some places online where people have translated it. And it also has the keyword in English, like that one's faith, and that one is wedding. So what I decided to do, I've been reading Sibilla this year, and I absolutely love it. I have this Everyday Oracle, and then I also have the Gypsy Sibilla, Sibilla della Zingara, I think it's called, and that one's all mostly kind of in black, and this one is mostly in white. That's how I can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. These are both easily available. $10 maybe on Amazon. Everyday Oracle and the Gypsy. I actually like the Gypsy one better. I have that one downstairs because I use it more often, and my husband and I have been using it a lot when we watch like mystery television programs to kind of to do some draws to see who did it. So I'll draw a card to see who killed this person. We were watching Midsummer Murders last night. And if you watch Midsummer Murders, you know there's never one death. There's like 17 deaths in every single one. So I was drawing a card on who did the murder, who did the break-in, who tied the person up who was tied up, who, what was there was one more thing. Was someone sending poison pen letters? Who was sending the poison pen letters? So I drew an individual card for it, and then I enjoy waiting to the end and then seeing how well did I translate that card. Because, you know, the cards aren't wrong, it's kind of just how I'm translating it. So it's really been fun. And what I decided to do with the little Czech oracle, because I feel pretty comfortable with Sibilla, is I made a little cheat sheet for myself. And I keyed all the, so here's the Czech oracle keywords, like one of them is child. And then I keyed that to the Sibilla, the two different Sibillas. The Gypsy keywords are in English from the Gypsy cards, and then the everyday oracle keywords, those are all in Italian. And then to kind of the meanings that I like to use when I'm reading the Sibilla deck. And I found that most of the little Czech oracle cards all of them can be paired to at least one card in the Sibilla. There are 52 cards in Sibilla, and there's only 32 in the Czech oracle. There's 36 in Lenormand, so there's even fewer in the little Czech oracle than there are in a Lenormand. It's missing all the people. I think there's only 2 women, and the one is a naked woman in a top hat and heels. She's great. She's called the mistress in here, but she's not like the woo mistress. She's like the mistress of the house. Like, there's the master of the house is the Lord, and then the mistress of the house is her. And then, but there's also a lover card in there who, in one scene, in the jealousy card, there's just like the stories go on and on in this little deck. Let me show you. So we've got okay, nudity, look away. All right, there's wealth, and then here's the lover. Okay, so he's got a mustache, and then we see. There's the Lord. I'll show you the Lord in a minute. And let me show you the mistress. Okay, more nudity. There she is. Okay, so she's the mistress. Then we see, so we see this is jealousy, and it's two people in bed who, you know, presumably they're not supposed to be there. And then the jealous person comes in, and so I think this seems to be very heteronormative deck. So we're going to assume that this is the case where that person is married to that person, and he's very upset because that is the lover. See? So where is he? Anyway, I showed you him already. He was showing up with his flowers. Here is the master of the house, and I think that's him there, coming into the room with the knife. So there's this little soap opera going on in the cards. And they could use some more women. I feel like in this deck, it's not, you know, like Sibilla is very heavy, very people heavy. So that's why it's really fun to read on who did it, because there's a lot of people in there. So you can figure out who, you know, when it shows the mother card, it's a nurturing person. It's a woman who cares for, potentially she's a mother, but potentially she just cares for people. She may run a dog shelter. You know, that kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. So I made up a little cheat sheet for that. And so it's been kind of fun reading with the little Czech oracle, although it's not as good. It's not as good for, you know, solving mysteries as the Sibilla. And oh gosh. So, speaking of spreadsheets, I should tell you a funny little story. I think most of you know my daughter Gracie, who's a modern unicorn, and she does videos, and she's appeared here before. She's a Gemini. She's an uber Gemini, but she does have a Virgo rising. Her ascendant is Virgo, and she is a lot like me in some things. I'm very, very uber Virgo. And she was saying something to me about the more we were talking about the more positive aspects of Virgo versus some of the negative aspects. So some of the negative aspects of Virgo that I don't like about myself is sort of this feeling like it needs to be perfect or else it's not good enough. You know, if there's a fault, then it's not good enough, as opposed to the idea that, you know, nothing's perfect or whatever. And so that can kind of become very, you know, that can be very onerous. And so she was talking about not liking that aspect of her Virgo-iness, but liking the positive aspects. And I said to her, what are the positive aspects of Virgo? And she said, you know, spreadsheets. And it was humorous because I'm a huge spreadsheet person. That's just in here. In the bottom of my Indy Wild Runes here, I've got the book, and then I've got my cheat sheet that I made up for myself. It's in so many things that I have. It's like that Hermione aspect. If you read the Harry Potter books when Hermione talks about she's making revising tables for studying, it was like making the tables. That's me. Making the charts and the spreadsheets and everything else. So my spreadsheets are everywhere. Okay, I think we're almost done. I think I will just talk about something that my husband made for me, which was very fun. We had some Lake Erie driftwood, and my son went up to Lake Erie. His girlfriend goes to school up there, and so near Lake Erie, and so they like to like go out and you know, go on the beach and things like that. And so I had a pile of some different kinds of Lake Erie driftwood, and my husband made a medicine wand for me from driftwood. And he put, this is a crystal we got from a crystal shop. He has a little collection of crystals. It's an amethyst, and he put that on the end of it, and he put this copper wire. He likes to work with copper a lot. He makes copper pendulums and some different things like that. And so he put some copper on it, and then on the bottom down here he put a little Lemurian crystal for me, and then he tied in some, he also has a little collection of feathers and pelts and things like that that he's accumulated over the years, or that people have given him. And I think this feather is, I think this is little bitty owl right here, and then I think this is, I think this might be guinea fowl. I think this is guinea fowl, and I think we know the guinea fowls that this came from. So he made this lovely little driftwood wand for me. It's very nice. He sanded it really smooth, so it's super. I think I might like it a little rough, you know, next time. But it's got really good like third eye energy. And so this has been a lot of fun. I've been working with that for the last week or so. I think he just made this for me over the weekend. And I think that might be it. I'm currently waiting for, I got a couple of decks on sort of pre-order slash that I'm backing. Okay, I am backing Dust to Onyx, which I think is going to be out maybe around Christmas of this year. Also Bone Stone and Earth Flesh Tarot, which is also going to be out around Christmas of this year. I'm backing, I think, 2 decks on Kickstarter. Might be 3. No, I'm backing 3 decks on Kickstarter. 2 from Chris Ann, and then 1 of the Majestic Tarot. And that's not until I think they're both middle of 2019. I think they're both quite a while. So I think that's about it for me. I don't have any new crystals or anything like that. We haven't been to the crystal warehouse in a while. There's a crystal shop that's like a warehouse in our city, and we really enjoy going there, but we haven't been there for a while. And everything's just kind of quiet at the moment. I'm just really looking forward to the end of summer, moving into September, and hopefully I'll be back with some more chit-chat videos, maybe some VRs. Everyone's a bit quiet at the moment, I've noticed. I think people go on holiday a lot this time of year, and and it gets a bit quiet. So I think things start picking up very soon. So that's it for me. That's what I've been doing. If you have any comments or questions, I would love to know about them. I thank you so much for spending time with me. I think it may have run over 30 minutes. We'll see once I get it all edited. I think it will still be a nice long video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I thank you very much for watching, and I wish you well, and see you next time. Bye-bye.